Life is a struggle. There are no two ways about it. But for some, this battle is far harder than most. And Gene Purdy knew that well. The man grew up in a normal suburban neighborhood, only for his own genetics to end up betraying him. At just 16 years old, he was diagnosed with an inherited genetic disorder which all but ensured that the teenager would be blind for life. How did Gene overcome this diagnosis to live a full life? Purdy wasn't born visually impaired. Overall, his eyes functioned normally and no one suspected that this would change, not even his doctors. Without any signs of his eventual diagnosis, Purdy managed to live a full and healthy childhood. He remembered reading comic books and playing video games with his friends. Purdy could even recall what his favorite TV character shows looked like. And all in all, he enjoyed an idyllic and full life. Gene first experienced issues with his vision when he was a schoolboy. He had had subtle moments of vision loss, which was all but ignored by the young, active boy. After months, he finally told his parents, who assumed he was just short-sighted. And after a few months of relying on prescription glasses, with his vision only worsening with each passing month, it was time for him to see an eye specialist. Within just a couple of months of experiencing mild vision loss, Gene was at an ophthalmologist, waiting on the test results that would forever change his life. The doctor had calmly listened to all of Gene's complaints. But one look at the young boy's file and he rushed him to the lab. No parents want to hear that their young child is sick, but sadly, that's exactly the news that the doctor had in store for Gene's parents. The 16-year-old had Stargardt's disease, and to say that his parents were crushed would be an understatement. The diagnosis was followed by some more tests and then some more, and again it was confirmed. The young Gene did have the rare genetic disease, which was all but incurable. Stargardt's is an eye disease that affects the retina, and it makes the central vision go blurry so that it's really difficult to see features, faces. Doctors warned Gene to expect the worst, but this was just the start of a long battle with his diagnosis, all of which would end with a complete vision loss for the young man. Gene thought he had his whole life to enjoy in front of him, but with just one doctor's visit, it had all changed in a second. From then on, Purdy learned to live alongside his diagnosis. Like most things, at first it wasn't easy. He lost friends, connections, and was left behind in major milestones. But still, the young boy powered through. He studied hard and got accepted into college, and that's where he met Joy, the literal and emotional kind. The two first met in a college lecture and instantly clicked. When we actually met, he kept walking by and I'm waving, trying to get his attention, and he keeps walking past me. And the next time I saw him, "What's your deal?" He told me that he's blind, and so I was like, "Okay, well, you can come sit with me." Joy didn't see Gene as only his disability. She saw him for the great man he was and could be. From friends and best friends to lovebirds and ending up with marriage, Joy and Gene were a match made in heaven and complemented each other in every way. Friends and family were equally impressed by the couple and knew they were going to last forever. The young family soon grew, with a couple welcoming their first child together. A few years later, they welcomed another. Life was once a struggle for Gene, and while he still had his bad days, it was getting easier. His days of juggling lecture books and stumbling into unknown rooms were behind him. Gene was busy playing with water guns with his children and tucking them into bed every night. He tried to be a good father to his kids and, of course, be a husband worthy of Joy. And while his life was perfect, Gene always yearned to be able to see the beautiful faces of his family. A reasonable dream, one which was about to come true. Not in love with Gene yet? Well, let us tell you a bit more about the young father's perseverance. His wife was a complete foodie, and so was Gene. And rather than have to depend on Joy for always cooking, Gene learned how to navigate the kitchen himself. As always, he didn't let his lack of vision get in the way. Gene started with learning a few of his favorite recipes by heart and practiced them until he executed them for his wife perfectly. And just like that, Purdy became an unlikely chef. Like so many of life's events, this one also happened on a quiet night. Gene was cooking a meal for the family and Joy was watching TV. After spending a busy day with the kids, the young mother was actually drifting off to sleep when she saw it for the first time. Her sleepy mind was instantly pulled into wakefulness when she heard Rachael Ray talk about Stargardt's disease. I turned on the Rachael Ray show and she said they're going to help someone with Stargardt's disease. A rather uncommon disease and definitely not something which would be so commonly discussed. Awakened, intrigued, Joy watched her world change right in front of her eyes. Rachel Ray, the show's host, called a person with Stargardt's disease to the stage, and what she did next left Joy with tears. Ray explained how the person suffered from Stargardt's disease and was visually impaired. She then went on to explain the harsh nature of the disease.